So we are going to head over now to Michelle Young with the Clean Marine BC program with the Georgia Strait Alliance. Hi there, Michelle. We can see you. And so here from British Columbia, Michelle Young is a chartered professional accountant whose love of the ocean and boating has led to the perfect match as Georgia Strait Alliance's Clean Marine, Clean BC, Clean Boating, and Marina Eco Certification Program Coordinator, as well as the Director of Finance. I'm always so grateful for people with finance and people who can deal with numbers. I deal in words. So she is a coastal person at heart and has lived on 4 of British Columbia's beautiful islands since her childhood in the remote Broughton Archipelago. She is now settled in the traditional ancestral territories of the Nanaimo people on Gabriola Island. So before you start, Michelle, which are the 4 islands? So obviously Gabriola.
Yeah, I've lived on Vancouver Island as well, Guilford Island and Sonora Island.
Fantastic. Okay, well, with no further ado, over to you, please.
Thank you so much. Georgia Strait Alliance is a marine conservation organization, and we're dedicated increasingly to environmental justice. And I say increasingly because we continue to learn, and as we know better, we continue to do better. So on the next slide, I am grateful to be coming from the territories of the Nanaimo First Nation on Gabriola Island, which is located in the Canadian waters of the Salish Sea. Also on the east coast of the island, which is clipped off in this image, overlapping territory with the Cowichan tribes, where our marinas and government wharves and most of our public docks are located. This map came from Whose Land, and it's a great resource to find out, orient ourselves on whose territory we are located on. Native land is also another good resource that I like to use. On the next slide, please. As a member of the Oil Spill Task Force's pollution POSPET, Prevention of Oil Spill and Protection and Education team member, I'm here to speak about Clean Marine BC. Georgia Strait Alliance was formed in 1990, and we recognized with so many boaters in the province of BC that individually boaters don't have a huge impact such as a major spill would, but collectively chronic small spills and other impacts do add up. There are over 700,000 people in British Columbia who identify as boaters, so collectively we do have a significant impact, and we want to help boaters reduce that. So in 2000, we started our green boating program. And since then, we've handed out over 100,000 guides to green boating. And on the next slide, in 2006, we were approached by Environment Canada. And we, as they were then called, to bring a Marina Eco Certification program to British Columbia. And in 2008, we certified our first marina for environmental best practices. On the next slide, you'll see the cover of our Marina Best Practices Handbook, which lists all of our environmental best practices that we recommend in the program. And I'm happy to share a PDF of that document with anyone that would like. Just send me an email and I'll be happy to send that off to you. Our environmental best practices cover everything from managing various waste streams to water and energy conservation to fueling procedures and emergency preparedness and response, and boatyard practices and dock construction materials, wildlife and habitat protection, and more. On the next slide, you'll see a map of some of our marinas. And since our first marina was certified in 2008, we've now certified 44 facilities in the province of BC, with another 29 enrolled to be certified, for a total of 73 facilities participating in our CMBC program. Mostly they're in the southwest of British Columbia, but we do have one in the interior, and the program's open to all of the province of BC. Next slide, please. In November of 2016, we added marine spill response training to our CMBC program. We've since conducted 5 in-person trainings, which consist of a morning in the classroom and an afternoon doing a mock spill cleanup of a scenario of a vessel sinking at the dock. Since the pandemic, we've also done 3 online trainings, and we're really excited to return to in-person trainings in the spring, because it's really invaluable to get marina staff hands on spill response equipment and deploying that so that they know what to do should an emergency happen. And in our time of doing that, we've trained 153 people. On the next slide, we also recently relaunched our dock walking program this summer, and we've trained 12 volunteers to get out on the docks and talk to boaters and hand out our Clean Boater kit. And we've handed out 250 kits so far. On the next slide, you can see what the kit looks like. And there's 3 types of spill supplies included in the kit, so that people know some of the supplies that are out there and how to use them. We have a bilge sock, fuel bib, and a general use spill pad. And we also include our guide to green boating, as well as other information such as whale watching regulations, especially around the recent protection measures for southern resident killer whales, preventing the spread of aquatic invasive species, and a boater's responsibility to deal with its vessel at the end of its useful life so that it doesn't become derelict. And of course, we also include POSBET's Oils 911 brochure and stickers. On the next slide, in addition to handing out the kits are free, but we do require the boaters to contribute a little bit of their time to us with our Clean Boater survey. And they can scan that little QR code on my dock walker badge there and get linked to the survey on their smartphone. And then the dock walker gets an email with all of their responses and can give them the correct answer immediately if they've made any mistakes. So there are 3 questions in the Clean Boater survey that are specifically related to spills. And the first one asks what size of spill is required to be reported. And of course, that is all spills. And these are Canadian answers, of course. And these are the results. So 64% of boaters know that all spills need to be reported, or at least of the responses that we've gotten so far. 23% of boaters thought that it depended on the size of the spill, whether that was more than a liter or more than a barrel. 13% didn't know whether they needed what size of spill, and nobody said that no spills need to be reported, which is a good result. And of course, we want to see if we can improve those answers and improve people's knowledge around that. On the next slide, the second question related to spills is asking boaters if they know who to contact if there's a spill. And of course, the answer in Canada is the Canada Coast Guard, and they can reach the Canada Coast Guard through the Oil Spill Task Force 1-800-OILS-911 reporting hotline. And on the next slide, we'll see how many people knew that. So 78% of boaters knew that they needed to report to the Canada Coast Guard. And I think that's a pretty good result, but I'd like to see it much closer to 100%. Some people thought that they should report to our emergency number here, which is 911, and 20% didn't know, but hopefully they do now because we give them the right answer after they complete the survey. And nobody said that they didn't have to report it, which is good. The final question on the next slide related to spills was asking if it was legal or illegal to use soap to disperse a spill in the water. And in Canada, that is illegal. And on the next slide, we'll see that 64% of respondents knew that it was illegal. Only 11% thought it was legal, but we obviously want to reduce that number. And 24% didn't know. And once again, hopefully they do now. And on the next slide, the next steps for our dock walking program are we're obviously going to continue to educate boaters and hand out our kits. Our dock workers are still doing that through their marinas and yacht clubs through the fall, although that slowed down a bit. And we'll be at the Vancouver International Boat Show in February, where we will hope to reach a few of the 30,000 boaters that go through that show. And we'll be adapting from lessons learned from this first season of dock walking, and we're already preparing for next boating season. So on the next slide, I would be remiss if I didn't thank, as many people already have, Hilary Wilkinson and Meg Harris for all your support of Georgia Strait Alliance's Clean Marine BC program, and of course other members of the POSPET working group who have provided incredible knowledge and support as well. In particular, I want to mention Viviette Matuk, who's another POSPET working group member. Our dock walking program has been adapted from the California State Parks and California Coastal Commission's Boating Clean and Green program. And the Bay Foundation is also involved in that. So I'd be remiss if I didn't thank them. She has provided so many resources to help us develop a mini dock walking program that incorporates lots of the successful elements of the California program. And I'd also like to thank the province of BC, which provides funding for our green boating work through the BC Gaming program. And on the next slide, this is how you can reach me if you have any questions or want to talk to me more about Clean Marine BC.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Michelle. And thank you so much for all the work that you and your team that you do for the prevention side of spill response in British Columbia. You know, I didn't know about this program until I came to the Environmental Emergency Program, and it's just been such a great learning opportunity to hear all the great work that you do. So thank you.